Hello and welcome. I'm Greg Michaels from K12EducationMatters.org, and we're here with Richard Allington, who has just delivered a keynote address at the University of Akron Reading Conference. There were over 600 teachers in attendance, and of course they all loved you, Dick, just as they have since I first met you back at SUNY Albany, and they love you because you tell the truth, no matter whose ox is gored. And that's just the way it is. I mean, you might be the smartest guy I know, but you're certainly the guy who knows more about research than probably anybody in the country. And that's, in most cases, you know the researchers personally, and which studies are valid, which ones aren't perhaps, what the agendas behind those studies are. But something that's really got me going in our recent email exchange is that you've made the assertion that 98% of kids in our country could be at reading level by the end of first grade. And not only that, you've said the word solid evidence, and I know you don't use the word evidence lightly, and that we already have the knowledge and the strategies and the way to accomplish this now. In fact, we've had that for over a decade now. So naturally, I'm curious as to, I know you have good solid research reasons to make that kind of a claim, but I'm curious what those are, and of course our audience is going to want to know what they can do to help achieve that goal. It's a pretty lofty goal. It will be society changing, not just life changing for everybody. And if you could just take a few minutes, I know this is a format where we just have a few minutes on the internet and you have an airplane and so forth, but if you wouldn't be so kind as just to go over that.
Well, you know, we've got this accumulation of evidence. It's over the last 20 years on with researchers working in real schools with real kids, and trying to address the issue of, well, initially it was to try to become better at identifying kids with learning disabilities or dyslexia, but the end result has been that the NICHD research teams that have been doing this work have basically concluded that neither learning disabilities nor dyslexia actually exist as they are defined by law as some sort of neurological problem or some sort of cognitive problem that kids have. Their argument is simply that the more likely cause for kids having a learning disability is the lack of appropriate instruction. We also know that if kids aren't reading on grade level by third grade, they're likely to drop out. I mean, poor kids in particular are 10 to 15 times more likely to drop out if they aren't reading on grade level by the end of third grade than if they are. So we have these one set of studies focusing on kindergarten and first grade that have achieved high level success in Texas and in New York State and in Tennessee, and yet none of the things that the researchers did in those studies are currently common practice in schools. For instance, I asked the audience today for everyone who worked in a school where starting on the second day of kindergarten, kids who were at risk, kids who came to kindergarten not knowing all the letter names, were starting to receive intensive expert instruction. And you saw the audience of 500 and nobody raised their hand. I could have raised it and set up the second week of kindergarten and still no one would raise their hand, or the second month of kindergarten, because for whatever reason we can find out on the first day of kindergarten who knows the letters. And by and large, that's 2/3 of all the kindergartners arriving in our schools already know the letter names. 1/3 don't, and those are the 1/3 of the kids that by fourth grade are reading below the basic level. And they make up the majority of the 25 or 30% of the kids who never finish high school.
Right.
So if you come to school from a low literacy environment home, the likelihood that the school is going to help you become a reader and successful in life is incredibly slim. But it's not that we couldn't do it, and I have no. I mean, people. The most common response is we don't have the money to do that, and that's just plain balderdash. I see schools spending incredible amounts of money to create computer labs and put computers in classrooms and to buy software programs for everything from testing to test prep. To reading instruction, and yet we also have at the same time millions of dollars being laid out for those sorts of purchases. We have had a series of studies that demonstrate that you know, putting kids in traditional reading programs works better than computerized programs, and in fact that probably prior to age 16, you should keep kids away from technology. But we spend lots of money on things that don't matter, and don't spend any money on what really matters, which is providing kids with expert and intensive instruction early when they need it.
Sounds almost like the title of a book there somewhere, What Really Matters. Teasing, of course.
Well, it probably would be a good title.
Oh, yeah. We had an expletive deleted, only it wasn't deleted out there in the talk today.
Yeah.
You're just so passionate, and teachers just love you so much. As I said, well, I know you've got a lot in your schedule. You've been very gracious to give us a couple minutes, and I sure appreciate it. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, and I hope that people heard the message today and go back and start asking their principals and their superintendents why we aren't doing the things that need to be done in kindergarten and first grade especially.
Absolutely, got to make a push. Hey, thanks again.
Thank you.